Let's make this creamy pumpkin bisque soup. It's so filling and delicious, it will really squash your hunger. Why it's so addictive, you might need the pumpkin patch. But before I carve out any more puns, let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to be using my Dutch oven for this, but just about any pot will work. To that, we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter. And once that gets melty for us, we're going to add our vegetables, starting with 1 huge carrot. And to that, we're also going to add 2 or 3 stalks of celery. I actually like the leafy parts. And to complete our classic trio, we have 1 large onion. We'll just pop that in there. And last up here, 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. And we'll go ahead and saute this over medium heat. You'll notice I wasn't concerned about the size of our vegetables. That's because this is going to be getting blended. But if you're planning on serving it rustic style, you might want to cut those just a little bit smaller. At this point, I like to go ahead and season with some fresh cracked black pepper and salt to taste. But we don't want to go too heavy on the salt at this point because we are going to be adding some stock to this later. So we'll continue to saute this over medium-high heat for 4 or 5 minutes, just until we achieve a little bit of color on our vegetables. That extra effort is really worth it for all that extra flavor. At this point, we're going to add 4 cups of chicken stock. You could use vegetable stock or water if you wanted to keep this vegetarian. We'll let this come back up to a simmer, slap a lid on there, and let it cook for between 30 and 45 minutes. By now, our vegetables should be soft and easily blendable, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 full can of pumpkin puree. But don't worry, I won't be adding any pumpkin spice to this, because to me that would make this kind of like drinking a salty pumpkin pie, and that just doesn't appeal. Instead, let's add an extra layer of warmth here with about half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And now it's time to bust out the old immersion blender. I love these things. They're like little boat motors for your kitchen. A food processor or blender would also work here. But all we want to do is blend this until completely smooth. One of these little stick blenders will get the job done faster than you might think. It probably only took 2 or 3 minutes to get this all the way smooth. And you'll notice we didn't need to add any thickeners to this. No cornstarch, no flour. This wonderful creamy texture is all from our pureed vegetables. And this is an excellent time to give this a quick taste for seasoning. Mine did need a little bit of extra salt and a couple of pinches of cayenne pepper. Just 1 more. Okay, perfect. And now time for our final ingredient, 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Now this is optional, sort of, but for me this is what takes it from a soup to a bisque. All we need to do now is give that a stir as we gently bring that up to a simmer, and then we're ready to serve this creamy pumpkin bisque. This looks so fancy, but it's so easy and delicious it'll have you going out of your gourd. And just to make it look a little extra fancy, I'm going to top with a little more cream and a pinch of dill for color. And I don't know about you, but I just have to have a melty grilled cheese to go along with this wonderful soup. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Passion for Food and you found this recipe useful. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below and consider subscribing and hitting that little bell so you don't miss our future videos. And check out one of our other great recipes playing on the screen now. This has been Graham with a passion for food. At this point, I like to go ahead and season with some fresh Cut!